Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, now 3 times more absorbent. Here's what's coming up. Attacks on Trump supporters in California. The media calls them protesters, but should we call them something else? I nominate jerky jerk faces from Planet Jerk Face. It's Hillary versus Donald. She says he's crazy. He says she's crooked. I say buy stock in popcorn. Don't like either of them? What about a third party? Or a fourth party? How about a toga party? Remember the Donner Party? I do, and I'm famished. And he called himself the greatest, and who were we to argue? Respect on Muhammad Ali tonight. Let's get started, America. I have guests over, and they charge by the hour. Let's welcome tonight's guests. He's only played 14 more NFL seasons than me. Find him weekday mornings co-hosting Boomer and Carlson on CBS Sports Network. He's the legendary quarterback Boomer Esiason. She's as pickled as a kosher gherkin. Our lovable lush Joanne Nosuchinsky. He put the Fox in Fox and Friends. Fox and Friends weekend co-anchor Tucker Carlson. Look at him. Yeah. She's quirky and smirky, her soul quite murky. National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. He puts the empty in MTV2 from the show Guy Code, comedian Andrew Schulz. Terrible. But first, all right, it's the same BS headline every day. Protesters assault Trump supporters. But is it protesting, really? Have you seen these bozos? Imagine placing their behavior somewhere else. What if you saw a man egging a woman in an Olive Garden? Or sucker punching a man in a canoe? So let's drop the label protester. It's BS. If a mob of disguised men attacking a woman is a protest, what does that make looting? Aggressive redistribution? Is arson now a flash campfire? Look, I get the excitement of large events. I've seen these emotions up close. This happened last month when some teens recognized me at the mall. I didn't stop them. But the moment you hit someone, you become an a-hole, not an activist. So because I believe in safety, here are some tips for the protester. First, have a catchy chant, something uplifting when heard on live TV. Now, see, that's a problem. Because we had to bleep the first part. I can only assume you're saying hug, Donald Trump. Hug. 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 Sounds so much better. Up next, hold up a sign saying something inspiring. You know, if you're in California and you're holding one that says, Trump, this is Mexico, you're just confusing everybody because it's not Mexico, it's California, you jackass. All right. Next, you gotta mind your manners. It could save your life. Just last week, a thug tried to rape a woman in New York City. When her husband came home, he beat the guy to death with a tire iron. The guy's a free man. Yep. Woo! I'm not saying this could happen to a violent protester. Wait, am I saying that? No, I'm not saying that. Anyway, my point is we got to calm this down and ask ourselves, why is it happening? Here's my theory. The sports mindset has invaded politics, which inflames emotions. I mean, is this a campaign or the NBA? First, you have all this trash talk.
This sleazy guy right over here from ABC. Lion 10. Little Marco used it on Lion, Crooked, Hillary.
See, it always works. Plus, you have all the team jerseys from both sides. And you get ejections from the stands.
Get him out of here. Throw him out.
And, of course, finally, you have the post-game fights. So something tells me this is not going to end well unless we restore order. Sooner or later, peaceful folks exercising their right to assemble will tire of the repeated attacks and then exercise another right of their own. Clap, 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 clap. All right. All right, Boomer. I'm worried.
Why do you have to start with me?
Because you're the closest
the
person.
athlete,
Yeah,
right?
you're the athlete. Am I exaggerating my fear that this could get worse?
No, I don't think you are. I think what's happening here, and I'm an independent, by the way.
Yes.
And I know Donald Trump. I live here in New York, so I know him pretty well. I know what he's all about. So
You flunked Trump, you?
Yes, exactly. It's kind of interesting watching what's happening. I know that the people who support Donald Trump will be emboldened by what they saw yesterday.
Yes.
They will be emboldened because they saw the Mexican flag on the soil of the United States. They saw these people yelling at him as if he weren't an American running for president. And I think this is really going to embolden people. And what's going to happen is sooner or later, it's going to come together.
Yeah.
And when it comes together, that's when it's really going to get ugly.
But I also think, the uber liberals, the one kind of beating up the Trump fans.
Yeah.
I think most people assume I'm liberal because I like sneakers. But I think when it comes to like the uber liberals, they think they can break the law if it's for a righteous cause.
Right.
And it's like, you're not Batman. Like, Batman gets to do that. Like, you gotta obey the laws.
Yes.
Or just let people do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, and we are not condoning violence. We want this violence to end, Tucker. How do we do that? How do we...
It's such a deep point, actually.
It really is.
That really is the difference. They think that Trump is Hitler, and if you really believe the guy's Hitler, what wouldn't you do to stop him? I mean, that's kind of the core problem here. I also think that Boomer's right. To take 3 steps back, it wasn't an anti-Trump protest. It was an anti-America protest.
Yep.
Make California Mexico. Waving American flags. I mean, Mexican flags. This lays bare the whole point of this whole election. It's about immigration. Everything is about immigration.
Yeah.
The country's totally different from what you grew up in. Totally. And most Americans didn't know that. And now you turn on the TV and now you know.
What do you think, Joanne? Everybody's blaming Trump in the media. You have the mayor of San Jose. They have one there, believe it or not. A mayor says it's partly on Trump.
I blame us. I blame the media.
Yes.
People want to feel significant, and I think that a lot of that is coming from there. I'm fighting for a worthy cause. But I don't know, call me lame, but I think the best peaceful protest is done in the voting booth. I mean, this is politics. But, yeah.
That was sucker applause. It's like, it sounded so nice that people felt, let's applaud the girl. I'm sorry, it's sexist. Kat, last word on this topic to you.
Yeah.
Vox editor said that there should be riots wherever Trump shows up, and then I think he got suspended.
Fine, but that helps Trump a lot more than anything, because saying, hey, Trump is a sexist, and then they're going to respond by saying, yeah, well, look, you guys were you were pelting a woman with raw eggs.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's
good
not
for the hair.
very nice to women. She responded, though. The way she responded, she was just kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, like she didn't really, I don't know, I would have been a little bit more angry. Or saying, he's racist because he wants to stop immigrants from coming in. But then there's, standing there saying, I want to make this Mexico.
Yeah.
So they're taking away any legitimacy that criticisms have of Trump when they act this way.
But if you get pelted with eggs, you'll just think, oh, finally breakfast.
I would be like, this is going to go viral. Awesome.
Yes.
You would have to. I think we'd all agree that this was a win for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This was a huge win. Those visual images on TV, seeing all of that and seeing that Mexican,
makes you want to vote for him.
It makes you want to vote for him.
I mean, like, I'm on the fence, and I'm like going, that just makes me run towards Donald, and then he says something like what I'm about to talk about now, and then I kind of slow down. This happened. Donald Trump singling out a black person in the crowd during a rally yesterday in Redding, California.
We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan, great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
All right. I think he left out the word friend. A man named Gregory Cheadle says he was the African-American Trump was referring to. He's a Republican running for Congress in California, and he told a local paper he was proud that Trump acknowledged me. Tucker, my theory is when he said my African-American, he was my was short for Michigan.
Look, don't read too much into it. He's not a cringing, sensitive guy, the one that liberals expect you to be, and they're all upset about it. That's just, he's insensitive. That's the way he is. Much more upsetting And a real issue is what he's been saying about this judge involved in the university case, where he's saying the guy should be disqualified because his parents were born in Mexico. That is a suicidal thing to say.
Yeah, he's got to stop that stuff.
Well, he's self-destructive. And that's for those of us who think he's bringing up important issues.
You know what that is? When he's talking about the judge has to be recused because of Mexican heritage, it's just like people claiming white privilege. Like you can't have a white person write a movie about black people.
Well, it's demented. And by the way, it's not to excuse the race baiting that's going on the left for the last 50 years, which kind of defines the Democratic Party. But it's still wrong, and you shouldn't say stuff like that.
Andrew, thoughts?
Well, on that, I think, I disagree with Tucker. I think it's a smart move.
Yes. Why?
Well, it's just because that's what I do at jury duty.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
You go to jury duty and they're like, well, how do you feel about Polish people? And I'm like, I hate pierogies. And they're like, all right, go home. You know what I mean? So I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is just him trying to, take advantage of a situation.
So you're saying...
Can I say one thing also about when he was saying my African-American? Yeah, it comes out awkward, but if you keep on watching the tape, he actually celebrates the guy for beating up a Ku Klux Klan. I don't even know how to say that group.
You're so non-racist.
Yeah. No, but he celebrates the guy for beating up some KKK dudes. So it's like, if you actually listen to the entire thing, he's incredibly supportive of the bravery of this African-American
I hear you're turning into a Trumpette.
Yes.
I'm not Trumpette, but hey, listen, I'm consistent. I don't know what I am.
You are consistent. I don't know what you are. Are you the cat? Last word?
Well, I mean, about the judge thing, you can't be doing that. You really just can't be doing that because, again, it legitimizes, if you can't, every time someone has a problem with you, find some random thing to blame it on. Oh, wait, it works for him every time, so it probably won't matter.
It's kind of interesting. Kat, how many times have you said about Donald Trump in the last 4 months? No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, and he does it.
It won't make a difference.
And he still does it, and it doesn't make a difference.
Yes,
people are like, yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Then maybe by that logic, Joanne, we should tell him to do it, so he'll stop.
And it could always be worse. He didn't nickname his African-American something.
Yeah.
Could have gone really wrong. So
I think it just with African Americans, it's very weird when white people they're saying they're mine.
Yes, that's a problem.
Do that anymore?
Yeah.
But I think what you hit on is really important with Trump. I think we got to celebrate him. I think that would rattle him.
Yes.
He thrives in chaos.
Yes.
But if we start saying, Trump, you know what? You're the best, and your hands are actually huge, and your hair is great.
If everyone was only nice to him, what would he do?
He doesn't know how to handle that. For real.
All right, we got to go. Before we go to break, though, I want to go to have a quick quiz to our special off-site focus group. They're in another room. How many of you find me physically attractive? Come on. There you go. That's good. Just checking. Coming up, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Not on this show, but we're going to talk about them, how they trashed each other in dueling speeches. Stick around. In a foreign policy speech Thursday, Hillary dragged Trump through the mud like a gorilla pulling a child through a zoo pond.
Donald Trump's ideas aren't just different. They are dangerously incoherent. They're not even really ideas, just a series of bizarre rants, personal feuds, and outright lies. I will leave it to the psychiatrist to explain his affection for tyrants. It's not hard to imagine Donald Trump leading us into a war just because somebody got under his very thin skin.
All right. It was like someone reading back everything I did on spring break in 1987 before there were camera phones. Now, the message was harsh, but too bad. The messenger is worse. Having Hillary give a critique on foreign policy is like having Charlie Sheen deliver a speech on self-control. It's like Bill Clinton writing an advice column on fidelity. The fact is, Hillary's attack on Trump are about his words when everything on Hillary are deeds. Benghazi, the Russian reset, the Iranian Green Revolution, and that email mess. Hillary exposed classified info more often than Anthony Weiner did with his own crotch. To Trump's credit, he's done nothing. He has no record of foreign policy achievement, but he has no record of foreign policy blunders. He's an unknown. We don't even know what we don't know about him. So who would think that the key advantage in the arena of foreign policy would be no track record? But that's what's happening when you run against Hillary. She's done so many bad things. We prefer a man who's done nothing at all. Imagine if you were having open heart surgery and this is the choice. Hillary, who's a surgeon, but none of her patients ever survive. And Donald, who's never done surgery before, but he did watch a lot of General Hospital. Is it scary that that's good enough for me? All right.
Period.
Before I go to the panel here, I got to play some tape because I like the fact that Hillary is now modulating the way she talks. She's not yelling and screaming. But then last night, she did this.
I say to myself, hey, wait a minute. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on us, right? We are not buying that.
All right. I want to play that again, but look at the guy behind her. We spot shadowed.
I say to myself, hey, wait a minute. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on us, right? We are not buying that.
He was so happy to hear that. It was like, oh, I got it. Slow motion, please.
Why, shame on us, right? We are not buying that.
But you know what he knew was it was like he was at a Lynyrd Skynyrd concert and she just played Freebird.
Right.
I know that song. I know that song. Boomer, what'd you make of her speech?
What I make all of her speeches. I don't know whether she's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. All I know is that watching you guys do this on a daily basis, I watch them give a speech, and I know that they're lying, and then they come to you guys, you tell us that they're lying, and then somebody on the panel says, well, that's politics.
Yes.
Like it's okay.
That's it. That's what Beckel used to do for us.
Right. In the world of football, I mean, we know the winner and the loser right after the play is over.
Yeah.
We know whether I kicked your ass or you kicked my ass. In this world of politics, I can't figure out what is going on and who's telling the truth. So all I can say, when I listen to her, I just stop listening.
Yeah, that's a bad sign for her. Andrew, where are you in this little world?
I just like that we're wearing the same shirt.
Yes. That's true.
This is the Shawshank Redemption spring line.
Yes.
And,
yes.
No. Honestly, I don't really know what to make. She's a horrible communicator. It's kind of sad that Trump is a better communicator, even though he's not really saying anything. It's just like Trump is like gobble gobble. It's like Trump is listening to someone speak Italian. Like you don't know what the hell they're saying. But you're like, that sounds nice. What is that? I want to eat that. That's beautiful. And Hillary's like hearing someone speak Russian. You're like, that is frightening. I don't know what's going on.
I wouldn't know about that. All right, Tucker.
That is so good.
Foreign policy. We want somebody
with Tucker.
Yes. I see something happening later.
Hey.
We want in an arena where experience matters. We want somebody with no experience.
Well, as you wisely pointed out, compared to the option in this case, yeah, maybe we possibly do. I'm struck. I mean, I think, look, her criticism about his temperament and his inability to not rise to needling is a real thing, okay? And it's a huge problem for him. But when she says he's likely to get us into pointless foreign wars, you have to laugh.
Yeah.
He's a peacenik compared to her. By the way, he's, as you pointed out, gotten us into no pointless foreign wars. She's got a pretty bad track record on that question. Yeah. He's running as the peacenik. Yeah. He's running to her left, and I support that, by the way.
He's only going to wage war on Macy's and the PGA. Anybody that leaves the United States.
That's totally right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's only on brand protection grounds.
Exactly. In eminent domain, he's gonna go after Kat's house.
I can't wait. Well, I can't wait for the debates because she's going to try to say all these things and attack him on specific things. He'll be like, yeah, well, what about, do we want a Benghazi? And then he'll be like, wow! And then he wins. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter at all. Because she has so many bad things in her record. I can't believe she had the guts to brag about the way she handled nuclear negotiations with Russia. She's like, I handled this. I'm like, you mean when you sold a fifth of our uranium and then got $145 million sent to Clinton Foundation, which is your little slush fund? That's what you're bragging about?
Oh.
Come on.
Joe.
Thank you. I think Hillary saw a window of opportunity, especially now people are criticizing Trump. She's like, I'm going to jump on board, call it a foreign policy speech, which she didn't really lay out the things she wanted to do. But I really wanted Trump to then hit back at her on Twitter. He just said that she was a phony, calling her crooked and lying. He could have just look at anyone else's criticisms of Hillary on Twitter, take those arguments, use the actual things that she has done wrong in foreign policy, and start spreading that message.
Or just say Benghazi, and he wins.
Yes.
I'm serious. I think that's enough.
All right, we got to move on.
More his style.
We have to move on because we've got a lot more stuff coming up. Did Lou Dobbs get snubbed yet again for People's Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive? They laugh. It's the question Special Report refused to tackle. But first, what's the Dalai Lama think about the European refugee crisis? My guess is it's pretty deep. He's the rudest Buddhist. I speak of the Dalai Lama, who told a German paper this week that too many refugees are entering Europe, saying, quote, Europe, for example, Germany, cannot become an Arab country. Germany is Germany. There are so many refugees that in practice, it becomes difficult. Well, from a moral point of view, too, I think that the refugees should only be admitted temporarily. That's him trying to cover his tracks. Germany's Prime Minister, Angela Merkel, allowed 1.1 million refugees to enter the country, a decision that got her named Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2015. Good for her. But since then, the policy has become much less popular in Europe as crime and terrorism linked to ISIS has skyrocketed. So is this high-drama Lama correct? Or
is this racist?
Andrew, is that racist or practical?
I don't trust this Dalai Lama. Look, I don't know anything about him, but who has benefited more from exile than the Dalai Lama?
That's true.
Right? So I think he wants to stop the refugees because they're going to snatch up his speaking engagement money. He's worried a really good Syrian refugee is going to pop up in Germany and then take over because we're done with this guy.
No,
the same
I
outfit.
love this Dalai Lama. I love him. Isn't this the same guy that said if he had a female successor, she'd have to be hot?
Yes.
I love this guy. I love non-PC Dalai Lama.
He's the Buddhist. He's the Buddhist Trump.
He's the Trump of the Dalai Lama. And you know what? It is better to be attractive. He's correct about that. I love him. You go on with your bad self, Dalai Lama.
Yeah, Tucker, he's a lot like you. I think he could be Trump's VP.
He's my favorite Eastern holy man. It actually makes me think more of Richard Gere that they're close. No, he raises like the deepest question. Does living in Germany make you German?
Right.
And of course, that's the position of all good Germans. They have to pretend. The irony
And bad Germans.
And bad Germans, that's exactly right. The irony is that the refugees don't buy into that. That's a very Western notion.
Yeah.
Do you think your average Syrian refugee living in Cologne or your average Turk living in Stockholm sees himself as German or Swedish? Of course not. And that's the whole problem, actually.
Yeah.
They see nationality as, like, tied to ethnicity. I mean, whether you should or not, that's how they see it.
Yeah. Boomer, what do you, I mean, right now they foiled a plot by Germany foiled a plot of Syrian terrorists who blended in with the migrants. So, I mean, he's not talking trash, the Lama.
No, I think he's talking realism is what he's talking. And he's basically saying what everybody's thinking. It's kind of like
just
Donald
like
Trump.
with the hot
Right,
thing.
exactly. Well, there you go. Very good. So I would tell you that the way I look at this is that it's a serious discussion for serious people to have.
No.
We could have as much fun as we want to have with it.
He's basically saying we're not competent enough. Boomer, former QB.
No. I didn't say that. I'm saying that he's real about what he's saying.
You're saying he's totally right.
He's totally right, and he's
okay,
real.
good. I just wanted to
As long as you understand that I am very smart.
Yes, I understand that very well.
Thank you.
Joanne, I have a theory that the Dalai Lama. What are you, Boomer, shaking his head?
No, go ahead.
I have a theory that that the reason why the Dalai Lama is at peace, it has less to do with the religion and the more that he doesn't wear a belt. Because when you wear a belt, you're always aware of weight gain.
It's actually proven, too, that suspenders do a better job of holding up your pants, and yet we stick to the belt.
Yeah, the belt reminds me how much I ate the day before. He doesn't care. He's not wearing a belt.
I do but again, speaking about practicality.
Yes.
That's what he's talking about when he's talking about refugees. And I'm tired of especially the left, trying to paint people who take the practical route as being non-empathetic. That's not the case. You're just trying to make sure everyone wins.
Last word, Schulz.
I don't understand why Germany can't become an Arab nation. No, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No, I'm being serious.
Well, they'll find out soon enough.
If it's a democratic nation and people vote to be an Arab nation, then that's their right.
That's not.
We gotta accept it. Listen, no, but that is the point, right?
Because that'll be the last vote they ever have.
But that's fine. That's the point.
Then they'll ban voting. They will ban voting. All right. Over here. Get it back to me. I got to move on.
Vote to end voting, that's democratic?
That's democracy. You got to trust democracy, man, if you want that. That's all I'm saying.
What if you did vote to end democracy?
Listen, we voted to start voting, right? Women couldn't vote, and we're like, let's let them vote. So we voted for that.
What a mistake that was.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It's a joke. It's a joke, all-female audience. Here, for free, I might add. All right. Coming up, is it time for a viable third party in America? And later, what we loved about Muhammad Ali.
I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When George Foreman meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
Will voters rejoice for a third choice? A recent Wall Street Journal NBC News poll found that 47% of registered voters would consider a third-party presidential nominee, up about 10% from 8 years ago. That's a lot of stats. I already forgot them. Former New Mexico governor and my Pilates partner, Gary Johnson, it's true, we stretch, wrapped up the Libertarian Party nomination this week. Everybody heard about it. He's chosen former Massachusetts governor, my other Pilates partner, Bill Weld, as his running mate. Meanwhile, Weekly Standard editor Bill Kristol is floating another conservative name, conservative lawyer, National Review writer, and Iraq war vet, David French. He's never held or ran for political office, but when has that stopped anyone? As for me, I'm still hoping this fella makes a run. Yeah, he is amazing, isn't he? Joanne, can a third-party candidate make a legitimate run this year?
Oh, I think anything is possible this year. I mean, as we've seen with Trump, name recognition and exposure, it's really important. So Johnson and Weld should consider releasing something like this. Fractured party? Want more choices?
Call the offices of Johnson and Weld.
Johnson and Weld.
Have you been emotionally injured by a rally protester? Tired of getting screwed by the establishment?
Then call Johnson and Weld.
Johnson and Weld.
This is me before I went to Johnson and Weld. This is me now.
Still handsome.
I call Johnson and Weld. They not only explain my rights, they also explain this Ayn Rand novel.
Laissez-faire capitalism.
So if you're ready to buck the duopoly,
choose the candidate who will stand up for your weed. Rights. Stand up for your rights.
Johnson and Weld.
I'm Gary Johnson, and I do not approve of this message. This was a terrible idea.
Johnson and Weld.
Great. Good job.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very good.
Gary seemed really happy to be there, I could tell.
Yeah.
You found him in the hallways, I imagine.
Yeah, he really loves me.
He roams.
Yeah.
He does roam. And he's got roaming charges. Andrew, third party, what do you think?
I need to know if there's a country that has a libertarian government.
Yeah.
Like, does that exist?
No, and that's why there's no perfect government yet.
But I just don't. I know you're a libertarian.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I just found out about libertarian. Like, for a long time, I thought they were just saying librarian and misspelling it. I think this is very serious.
Yeah.
But if there was a country, and I was like, why do these librarians want to run for president? But if there was a country that uses that philosophy and it works, then I'm okay with it. But if there isn't, then
It's
I don't
the only
think it's
consistent philosophy.
Oh, okay.
consistently
Small government across the board. It's
I have a problem with libertarianism as a libertarian, but I'll get into that later because I want to talk to Boomer. Boomer, will a third party just hurt one of the other candidates?
It's not going to work. Neither one of those guys are overly exciting. You guys are very exciting, by the way, but those guys are not very exciting. There's no personality there whatsoever. Yes. But I think I agree with you. I mean, you know, if you could find the perfect libertarian government and they could somehow be exciting, I say, yeah, they got a chance.
What if America waited to become America because nobody done it yet? How about that, Andrew?
They did do it before.
Where?
Greece.
Wasn't the same.
I mean, it wasn't the same. We perfected it because we're the greatest. But yeah, you know, these things have been done. I'm not against it. So libertarians are like, they're like Republicans, but they believe in abortion.
Well, they're free markets, free minds. That's all you got to remember. Free markets, free minds.
You live your life the way you want to live it. I just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll pay for my life. I'll pay for my responsibility.
That's a good plot. I can get behind something like that. I just want to see it work. Like, is there a Norway, but kind of like that works there?
Kind of the opposite of Norway.
Yeah, they're the opposite.
But I'm saying it's like a little country where they got a lot of money that it works.
Well, no,
and because it doesn't work. But look, we're not going to get a third party, a real third party challenge this year. We're going to have a multi-party system, which is a shame because the two-party system keeps us moderate and stable. But the internet, the whole message of the internet is my opinion matters. I'm a precious snowflake. Listen to me. I'm unique, and neither party represents anybody with any great precision. And so the move over the next 10 years is going to be toward a multi-party system, and we're going to get one.
And then that means that we could swing from one extreme to the other, given a plurality of votes.
It means every interest group that you hate, whether it's the NRA or NARAL, will be its own political party, and it will be absolutely necessary to pander to them to make your coalition win.
That's when I introduced the unicorn party. Yeah. A horn in every pot. All right. This is what my problem with libertarianism is. There's a hypocrisy involved. There's a disconnect. They are for the Second Amendment, but they're not for military force. How can you love one and not the other? Like, if you believe in having a gun to protect your house, you should have the greatest military ever to protect your country. It's just like a giant house.
We already spend more on our military than the next 10 countries combined.
So what? Let's
do we just stop?
More.
Spend more.
Let's spend more.
And I'm the radical one for thinking that's not enough.
Doesn't military spending offer us some advantage in
other areas?
Other areas, like we. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like we control the seas, right? Yes. So if you want to ship goods around the world, you got to pay the piper.
Yes.
So I want them to have to pay the piper.
We don't actually collect tolls on this.
I mean, we should. No, but we do though, right? We do collect tolls.
No, we don't.
Because I mean,
this is amazing.
Let me ask you a question. It's not necessarily a toll like I need $5 for you to pass into Hoboken, but it's more like. It's more like, hey, if you want to continue shipping shirts from here to there, you got to do what we say when this vote comes in.
Well, we have like trade agreements and tariffs and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we can put pressure with the trade agreement.
That's different. No, but we keep it free. We keep.
Can I just say one thing, Tucker? Again, I don't know a lot.
Say one more thing.
I don't know a lot, okay? But I'm getting tired of these European countries getting so highfalutin about their health care when we protect the water. I really want
a Trump man.
You're turning into Trump.
Yes, you are.
You are turning into Trump before my eyes. You're even getting more orange.
Yes.
I can see it. I got to go, you guys. We're running out of time.
That's it.
But I'm watching, like, weird stuff happen. All right. Still to come, I reveal the truth about the Loch Ness Monster. Turns out he's really a tall drifter named Carl who couldn't swim. Children, gifts from heaven, or spawns of the devil? Why can't they be both?
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email gregtix@foxnews.com.
Will voters rejoice for a third choice? A recent Wall Street Journal NBC News poll found that 47% of registered voters would consider a third-party presidential nominee, up about 10% from 8 years ago. That's a lot of stats. I already forgot them. Former New Mexico governor and my Pilates partner, Gary Johnson, it's true, we stretch, wrapped up the Libertarian Party nomination this week. Everybody heard about it. He's chosen former Massachusetts governor, my other Pilates partner, Bill Weld, as his running mate. Meanwhile, Weekly Standard editor Bill Kristol is floating another conservative name, conservative lawyer, National Review writer, and Iraq war vet, David French. He's never held or ran for political office, but when has that stopped anyone? As for me, I'm still hoping this fella makes a run. Yeah, he is amazing, isn't he? Joanne, can a third-party candidate make a legitimate run this year?
Oh, I think anything is possible this year. I mean, as we've seen with Trump, name recognition and exposure, it's really important. So Johnson and Weld should consider releasing something like this. Fractured party? Want more choices?
Call the offices of Johnson and Weld.
Johnson and Weld.
Have you been emotionally injured by a rally protester? Tired of getting screwed by the establishment?
Then call Johnson and Weld.
Johnson and Weld.
This is me before I went to Johnson and Weld. This is me now.
Still handsome.
I call Johnson and Weld. They not only explain my rights, they also explain this Ayn Rand novel.
Laissez-faire capitalism.
So if you're ready to buck the duopoly,
choose the candidate who will stand up for your weed. Rights. Stand up for your rights.
Johnson and Weld.
I'm Gary Johnson, and I do not approve of this message. This was a terrible idea.
Johnson and Weld.
Great.
Good job.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very good.
Gary seemed really happy to be there, I could tell.
Yeah.
You found him in the hallways, I imagine.
Yeah, he really loves me.
He roams.
Yeah.
He does roam, and he's got roaming charges. You can't spell brat without rat. I speak of the world's youngest narc, a 6-year-old Massachusetts boy who called 911 this week on his dad for running a red light.
911, it's 9 what's your emergency?
Daddy went past a red light.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
Is he home right now?
Yeah.
Can I talk to him? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Quincy Police.
Oh, no, I'm just going to apologize. That's my 5-year-old son.
Just want to let us know you ran a red light.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, in China, a 5-year-old destroyed this Lego sculpture just 1 hour after it went on display. It took 3 days, 10,000 bricks, and $15,000 to build. So are these incidents just kids not knowing any better, or is it something more sinister at work here? It's the subject of our new Healthy Parenting segment.
Are kids evil?
Are kids evil, Boomer?
No, they're not. I have a son and a daughter. Now, the daughter, you know, when she went through the evil stage, when she became a teenager, like I'm sure your parents would definitely agree with me on this one, that's the only time that they're evil. But I got to tell you, I'm blessed by having 2 great kids.
Tucker, you have 30 children.
I've got a ton. More than any non-Mormon you know.
Yes, exactly. Bad investment?
They're great. And by the way, Lego is meant to be destroyed. It's like a cherry blossom. It's ephemeral. It doesn't last forever.
Also, it was put together by an adult.
That's true.
So,
but the other story really is the end. That's the end of America. When your kids are more loyal to the state than they are to you, than they are to dad. That's the Soviet Union. Like, that's bad. And it could only happen in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Andrew, get something out of your mouth and talk.
That kid, look, this kid is a rat. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Yeah. No, okay, the kid who knocked over the Lego thing, I really don't feel bad for the Lego guy.
Yeah.
If you have, like, that much time and thousands upon thousands of dollars to just build Legos your life, it's probably all right. You know, you're not having hard times. But the kid that called the cops on his dad, you don't call the cops on your family. You hide your family from the cops if necessary.
Yes.
But you don't do that. I know you always say if there's kids involved on the show, don't get too negative about the kids. But no, this kid is a nightmare.
Oh, I have said that. It's probably a lovely child, Joe.
Right.
Maybe.
No.
I think we need to stop saying, you know, kids will be kids. Let them enjoy their childhood. No, I believe it's important to show kids what reality is like, treat them like adults, give them responsibilities so they become instantly bitter and cynical, and then they don't have fun and get into trouble.
Yes. I just want to add, before we go, my thought on this is totally different. I am tired of the release of 911 tapes because that's going to influence whether or not you call 911. If Tucker and I go out at night and maybe I ingest too much of a certain substance, and Tucker goes, oh, I'm going to call 911, but he thinks, nah, I work at Fox News. We both work at Fox News. Greg's, you know, on the ground drooling. This is going to show up everywhere, and then he's just going to leave me at the Motel 6 with the sheep. You are. That's why.
That's actually a conundrum I've faced on more than one.
I know. Yeah. I have too. I've called 911 and just stopped at the second one.
Been like, sorry, butt dial.
I'm sorry. Kill me's fine. Gotta go. All right. We come back. Some final thoughts on Muhammad Ali.
I don't prove to the world that I'm still the fastest, the prettiest, the most classist, the most scientific, the greatest fighter of all time.
Former heavyweight boxing champ Muhammad Ali has died at the age of 74. Ali was known for his fast fists, his epic battles in the ring, quick wit, and humanitarian work. So we're going to close out our show with some final thoughts on the greatest. Boomer, you're up.
Well, you know, I got a chance to meet Muhammad Ali later in life, and he was very engaging, one of the few athletes that I asked for an autograph from, and he signed a pair of his boxing gloves, and still have them to this day, and certainly a sad day in the sports world.
Andrew, you're pretty young, but you must have, you know who Muhammad Ali is.
Yeah, you know, my father used to be in the news business, and he would go cover Muhammad Ali's fights, and he'd go to their camp all the time, and he thought Muhammad Ali was like just the most gracious guy, like you said, and just incredibly hardworking, and there's a Muhammad Ali quote that I often think about. It's, don't count the days, make the days count. And I just think he's just an amazing guy. Like, not that many people are willing to sacrifice celebrity and money to do what they love. And regardless of how you feel about his political opinions, he stayed true to how he felt and what was the right thing to do in the moment. And I respect that. It's hard to turn down money. You know?
I don't. Tucker, you've been talking about Muhammad Ali all day, and
yeah, we had tons of people on. You know what a great humanitarian he was. My only exposure to Muhammad Ali was a kid watching his fights in the 70s, and my view of him has not changed. He was obviously a very graceful athlete, but a savage athlete, and I was always impressed by that. He didn't just want to beat Joe Frazier; he wanted to destroy Joe Frazier as a man.
Yeah,
he was all in. And you know, I'm not going to make a moral judgment on that, but it was successful, and I admire his intensity.
Joanne, thoughts?
Yeah, as a woman, I love inspirational quotes.
Yes.
And he has so many. I mean, people are quoting him all of the time, just like Andrew did. And I think my favorite is, I am the greatest, and I knew that even before I was great. But that's the thing, the confidence that he had going into everything he did, and with the passion he had, he knew he was unstoppable. And I think that that's, if everyone had a little bit of that, like, so much could be accomplished.
Some people have too much of that.
No such thing.
Yes. No, you know, the one thing I remember as a young person, when you only had 3 choices, ABC, CBS, and NBC, was what a fascinating and amazing entertainer he was on talk shows. Yeah. Because, like, I wasn't a sports person. I was the kid that watched Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin. That's how I wasn't running around a track. I was sitting at home pretending I was sick so I could watch these talk shows and Dinah Shore. And like every time Muhammad Ali was on a show, it was unforgettable. And whether it was Johnny Carson, you name it, it was like he was the 1970s for, you know. If
you ever watched him and Howard Cosell,
yes,
it was unbelievable. And really, when you think about the enormity of the popularity and the worldwide understanding of who Muhammad Ali was, there are very few people that have ever gotten to that point. And I would say in the sports world, he's right there with Pele.
Yeah. All right. Thanks to Boomer Esiason, Tucker Carlson, Andrew Schulz, Governor Gary Johnson, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Van Kissel, Joanne, and Catherine, and our studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I love you, America.
Have you been emotionally injured by a...
I called Johnson and Weld. They not only explain my rights, they explain these Ayn Rand albums. Albums? Is she a musician? Okay.
Tired of getting screwed by the establishment?
Then call Johnson and Weld. I'm sorry.
Tired of getting screwed by the establishment?
Then call Johnson and Weld. I'm so sorry.
Hate you.